Yeah, I'm not the most technologically proficient individual.
Me either. It was a mess over here. I'm like Googling how do you add people and shit. For anybody that doesn't know, Casey Williams, Elite FTS, have been powerlifting for I don't know how many years. I've been training for almost 20 years at this point. Jay, how long have you been training? I think we were about on the same track.
Like training for powerlifting or training?
Just in general. I know you were part of the Canadian bobsled team.
Yeah, that was back when I was 23. So that was
pretty awesome.
2005, 2006. So that was a long time ago. I didn't get into powerlifting until I was 26, 27 years old.
Right.
And it was kind of because I couldn't find a sport to get into. I really liked weightlifting. I'm in love with weightlifting, but weightlifting is kind of a sport where you need a coach. You need a set of eyes. Now you wouldn't because we have phones. You could record every set and watch it and see what your technique looks like. But back then in the olden days, before phones got pretty amazing, I needed a coach, and I couldn't find a coach for the time of day that I was training. And the one coach in the city that I liked, he was also a bit of a CrossFit coach, and he was doing lots of lightweight, this and that, and I hated it. And I was more in a Bulgarian mentality. I liked maxing out almost every single day, kind of like a John Bros kind of style. And so I just got pissed off, and I had this one guy, Willie Albert. He would train at the gym at the YMCA Maryville, which is kind of like a very popular hub in Ontario for bodybuilding and strength sports. But this guy, Willie Albert, we had a lot of powerlifters at this gym, and Willie was always talking trash to me. And he's like, oh yeah, when you get in a competition, you think you're so strong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at these guys, I'm like, you can't fucking lift half the weights you're saying you can lift. You got to put on all these little suits and get all dressed up in your costumes. I was like, whatever. But then one day he's like, yeah, so there's something called raw. It's raw lifting. Nothing. Not even anything on your knees. The WPC's coming out with it. He's like, there's a competition. And I was like, all right, well, weightlifting's not going to work, so let's do this. And I went to my first competition. And, you obviously know who Al Meehan is.
Yep.
But Al Meehan was there. And for those of you who don't know who Al Meehan is, he's like from the Ed Cohn days. And he's a multiply lifter. He squatted 1,000 pounds, I don't know how many times. His totals are all, I don't even know how ridiculous his totals are. He's a multiply lifter. But he's like a legend. And he's this big 320-pound dude, shaved head. Across his back, there's a barbell. And underneath it says hardcore.
Right.
So I walk into this powerlifting meet, and I'm like, I'm kind of like, whoa, what is this? Let's see what this is. And these guys are, it's just crazy. It was, from that moment, I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool sport because these guys are pretty badass.
Well, I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, from that moment, from that competition, I was hooked. Like, I loved it. The atmosphere of powerlifting, it's just great. It's not what you would expect. As everyone here knows, powerlifting is not what you expect. The attitudes, like there are people with chips on their shoulder, but the attitudes are more of a positive. Everyone come together. Let's lift this fucking weight up. I'm going to clap for you. Yes, I want the medal. I don't want you to have the medal. But if you're struggling through it, the natural instinct in me is going to be, let's fucking go do this. Right. So everyone loves that, and that's why it's a great sport, right?
Well, everyone's been humbled, right? I think that's the big piece. So to tie into that, actually, the first time we met was Rum 6, which was
Jacksonville, Florida.
I think that might have even been Port St. Lucie. I don't know. It was 2013, right? So Rum 6, I'm a young guy. I had done maybe 2 or 3 meets and had some success. I realized that, like, okay, I can be pretty good at this. Ended up, I remember at Rum 6, there were probably 15 of us, 20. It wasn't that many guys, right?
All right, there.
You good?
iPhone 6S, I need to upgrade.
God damn it. Come on, you're better than that. I'm going to send you a Venmo after this to get you a new iPhone.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you were saying. A lot of it cut out, but At Rum, I think it was the one in not Corpus Christi. Is the last one, maybe Rum 8. I was walking by and I had an awesome phone, which I still miss, called a BlackBerry Passport. You yelled at me, "Hey, Nera, nice BlackBerry." I was like, what's so funny? You're just making fun of me. I was like, what the hell is this? So yes, I like my fucking buttons. All right.
Whatever, man.
Okay, sorry, I missed that story though. I didn't catch it all. So yeah,
No, you're good. So Rum 6. That was the first time I met you. And I think the roster was maybe like 15 or 20 guys. Like, it wasn't big, right? And I remember in between like squat, bench, and deadlift, we were all moving platforms. We were setting up equipment in between, getting warmed up, which I thought was like really strange, right? For a big meet. My first experience at a big meet. But my biggest takeaway was I had known you from, we'll get into this in a minute, from Powerlifting Magazine, right? Powerlifting USA.
Oh, you have a copy of that.
And I knew who you were, but I was the kid that was like, I was young and I was like, I have something to prove, right? So I was competing against everybody and I wasn't real open to talking to anyone, right? And I think partway through the day, we were warming up for bench, and you were like staring at me. You're like, what the fuck is wrong? In my head, I'm like, you're thinking, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? And afterwards, you made me laugh because I warmed up to like something my training partner had me. I did like touch and go, something, 400. It moved fast, but he was like pulling on the bar, right? We did it as like a warm up. And you were like, what the fuck is this monster going to bench press? And I ended up shitting about it. I had like a terrible meet, right? I benched like 420 or whatever. But the way you carried yourself throughout the meet the entire day, you were very calm, cool, collected. You were I don't even mean encouraging to everybody, but like you were so zen about it. And my big takeaway from that, I was so impressed with your the way you carried yourself and the way that it was not a you versus me kind of thing, and the way you interacted with everybody else that was there. And I appreciated that, and that was something that I definitely took on for myself throughout the rest of my career. And I thought that was important to bring along young guys in the sport. And sometimes you don't realize the impact that you have until after the fact, because I'm sure we didn't talk about that until maybe a couple years, even a couple years ago. So I thought I think the way I described it, you were a great ambassador for the sport. Especially with the way that you carried yourself. So I think it's funny that, last night we talked a little bit before we were going to do this. And, I think the way to delineate the sport at this point is like the Powerlifting USA era, which you and I were a little bit a part of, and Instagram, right? Like those are the two things now. Like we weren't so old school that Powerlifting USA was the only thing. Like we had some of the Instagram era, but this makes me laugh. I pulled this. I had a young kid benching with me in my basement, and I was like, "Did you ever read Powerlifting USA?" And he's like, "A what?" And I was like, "Oh." I sent him home with a bunch of copies. So I have this was Jay Pulls 704 for the biggest total of the meet. I thought it was fucking awesome. I laughed because I was like, I got to pull this thing out.